welcome to the Metapod episode 105 of the Pokemon podcast that revolves around the evolving meta. I prepared our episode number today, and hopefully you're listening to this on maybe Tuesday, the episode that's supposed to release on Tuesday, because we release on Tuesdays. Sean and I had a little bit of an accident last week. Apologies. Accidentally releasing on Thursday. It was a funny goof.
The accident was I uploaded the prior week's episode into our Google Drive.
And because we recorded it on Saturday, I obviously didn't want to do it on Saturday because I was like, I want to do something else because I don't have to do this right now. And I didn't check the recording until Monday night when I usually edit the podcast. And on Monday night,
it was too late.
Yeah, Sean was across the world.
Oh, well.
Or country.
I was in Pennsylvania.
So, okay, well, down the road. You were out of state.
I was away from my computer. That's what matters.
Which was the technical difficulty for anyone who got the gist of what was going on. But this week, we are perfect. This week, we've got some news for you. And we're actually going to go through, because now we're starting to move away from big time events, things like that, regionals, ICs, international championships, stuff like that. We're going to start evaluating a little bit more in the next couple weeks of the online meta, because, well, the people that want to go to the world championships, they got to test for worlds, and the online format is one of the better places to do it. But Sean, how was your time in Pennsylvania last week?
I mean, it was lovely. It was on a lake. It was very pretty. That's about it. It was, my nephews and niece do not listen to this podcast, but I will say, people out there who have kids, I don't know how you do it. There's 3 small humans under the age of 8, and they spend the majority of their time screaming. So I found myself waking up at 6 a.m. to work.
Oh, 6 a.m.
Just to get work done.
And they're under 8?
Yeah.
So, oh man.
It's
small. Just I don't know. I feel like there was an age when I hit 5, 6 that I stopped waking up absurdly earlier at random times.
I woke up early because they weren't awake yet, so I could work in quiet.
You know what? That makes way more sense.
Yeah.
See, Sean and I have 2 different brains. I have a twin niece and nephew that's a year and a half old now, a little bit more than a year and a half old, and I don't see them super often because we live pretty far. So but I just know that when they come over, when we go over there or something, and we usually try to help my sister and my brother-in-law out because they take care of 2 twins, or they take care of 2 very, very tiny children at the same time. And that's very, very tiring. And I am exhausted every time we leave. And I'm not even the one doing the majority of the work. I'm not changing their diapers. I'm not really feeding them. I'm just hanging out with them and playing with them, maybe taking naps with them.
It's exhausting though.
It's crazy. I don't know how kids do it. This is why I'll never have kids. Well, at least one of the reasons. But anyways, this is a Pokemon podcast, not a life advice podcast, Sean. Today, we are going to be doing some news. There's not too much news coming out, but some stuff that we wanted to touch on. And as well with our 5-star review, as always, we're going to be talking about the results as well. So, Sean, let's go first to the 5-star review. This is from the Poke Shop. I can't see the title, but it says, amazing podcast helped, ... I don't know why, but on mobile iTunes, I can't click and see the entire title. It's infuriating. But anyways, the description of this review is, love this podcast, so much energy. For it is great love the direction you guys go, and especially with guests. Keep up the amazing work, and I'll keep listening. Thanks, you guys. Also, pretty sure they were the 100th rating when they left this review on the podcast. So that was the big hundo that wasn't the 100 we go on YouTube, but then we started putting out before 100. What was our we
Our
did
100
something for
was we
100.
do other content on the YouTube.
Oh,
which
yes, and then we started doing other content, and then Sean and I
got
it
very
got really
busy.
busy,
But
and so we're struggling.
but we will get back there. We will. So,
We will. We just got to figure out a time and see when our stuff aligns in terms of schedules and whatnot and things. But if you want to do extra content, Sean, this is leading into our first topic of the day. If you want to help out TPCI and maybe do some unscripted content for their upcoming Pokemon TCG series, they're currently doing open casting calls. Sean,
they are.
TPCI announced recently that they're developing a new unscripted series for the Pokemon TCG, and it's basically like giving experiences. You know, you give your experience. It says, quote, anyone in the Los Angeles area with a Pokemon TCG story to tell is encouraged to apply. Applicants can send a written application and video with their involvement in the card game, whether I feel like that's collecting or competitive side. I don't think it actually matters as long as it involves Pokemon cards. So the filming is going to take place from August 20th to October 1st. So if you're not going to Worlds, right? Because isn't Worlds like right in the middle of that?
When
is
is
it
it?
Worlds
Yes,
like
yeah,
August 28th?
It's that weekend. It's that weekend of the 20th, I think, to the 22nd.
Or
Yeah.
I was going to say it's during that time. So if you're not going to Worlds and you live in the Los Angeles area or maybe near it where you could go to for the day, I don't know, just want to throw this out there. I mean, I highly doubt you'll be able to shout the Metapod podcast while you're on that, but you can try.
I mean, yeah. Hey, so for those of you who maybe don't know exactly what it means to be unscripted, what this says to me, Jake, now, I could be a little wrong here, but it's either going to be like a mini docu-series, right, about the Pokemon TCG, or it is kind of like a reality show of sorts, is maybe my guess.
Maybe because it says filming will take place from August 20th to October 1st. So what if it was like have you ever seen those TLC shows?
Yeah.
Where like what not to wear? That's the one that sticks in my brain. Have you seen that one?
I don't know what not to wear. What is that?
It's basically like this person goes and then they take this person shopping for like all these different things and they got a budget and stuff and they get like a whole new wardrobe for whatever, you know, they want for like just regular everyday fashion or like for a job or for their honey or what a date. I don't know. But essentially that's how I think that this could play out. Maybe like they take someone and they go around Los Angeles. Maybe they like buy Pokemon cards, they look for Pokemon cards, and then they open up Pokemon packs. I don't know. That could be cool.
I mean, they're talking about trading. Also, they're also talking about the game, right? So there's an element to me of like, I don't know where this is going to go. I would have to look up like whether or not casting Crane does specifically work for like studios that exist like Netflix or Amazon. My guess, though, is that this is a Pokemon YouTube channel special, is my guess, is where we're going to see this.
That wouldn't surprise me. I also think it could be for just like little promotional things, you know, like little social media posts, you know, like a 15-second video of someone just talking about how they used to trade cards in school or whatever. Well, actually, I don't know. Pokemon's like really strict with their stuff. So if you say trading cards at school, they probably wouldn't like that, actually.
I mean,
because like schools say no cards type of deal.
Some schools do. Yeah. Back in the day, they said it to us. But yeah, I feel like this is a YouTube series that they're probably filming for. Who knows how many episodes or videos there'll be, but like,
or how many people there are, you know, that they'll take. Because it's an application, you know.
It might be one of those things where, like you said with TLC and others, where it's like every episode they focus on like one specific fan or like a couple of fans, and it's like a little wrapper around like these are these people and this is their collection. These are these people and this is the deck that they're playing, and this is people going to a regionals. And I don't know, it could be interesting. I'll be interested to see like when it comes out.
And I mean, like, Pokemon's done a lot of stuff lately with like these kind of shorter videos and different like series and stuff. I mean, they had the anime that was animated by Wit Studio.
Mm.
They had like Pokemon Adventures. They had the oh gosh, I'm blanking on the other like animated series name that they had during the Sword and Shield era. They had like a Nessa one, which was awesome. They had like a Leon one. They had a B one,
Oh yeah, yeah.
a
I remember
Hop
that.
one. Like
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. Somebody will let me know probably on Twitter or something.
I
People
mean,
are tagging us on Twitter lately.
to be honest, they also have the work that like Andrew and others have done with like the Trading Card Game Academy, right?
Yeah, Top Deck
So
Academy. Like
Top
they've
Deck,
done a
yeah,
lot of stuff with that, and so it's just another thing this time inviting like just random people,
yeah,
that are fans of the card games, which I think is really really cool.
yeah. So not much more to say. Hopefully, we'll find out more information. I don't know, in like 3 or 4 months or something.
Let us know if you get accepted. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted to put it on there, and then we'll somehow find a way to get the meta. I'm just kidding. We won't try
We'll
to.
send you. We'll send you swag. We'll send you our playmat. If you get on the show and you let us know ahead of time, just hit us up in the DM because you're gonna be like under NDA, but slide us a
For
DM. Right.
legal reasons, we will not try
We
to
will
get
not.
you to advertise the meta.
No, but I mean, we could send you a playmat.
Yeah, we could do it. We could. I'm not. Anyways, what we can confirm though, Sean, is for our card collectors especially, we can confirm through PokeGuardian, which is a very credible source, that there is going to be a reprint of several sets out in Japan in the months of August and September. Those being Start Deck 100, Astonishing Volt Tackle, Fusion Arts, and the highly coveted, super crazy awesome Eevee Heroes. So if you do not know Start Deck 100, I think we talked about it on this podcast. It's basically like a Pokemon pack, but theme decks.
Yeah.
And you just get a random starter deck. One of them is like super super rare because they had to do it.
It's all foil.
Like max rarity, yeah, like all foil. Astonishing Volt Tackle is basically a segment of Vivid Voltage in the English sets. Fusion Arts is basically a segment of Fusion Strike, and then Eevee Heroes is a segment of Evolving Skies. And Eevee Heroes is very, very popular. It's probably one of them. I don't have any statistics to back this up, but I would say it's the most popular Sword and Shield set so far.
I would
probably.
say it's the most popular non-specialty set, right?
Yes,
like
that's
Tag
like a main
All-Stars, Shiny,
series. Yeah, it's one of the most popular main series sets in the last couple years. So people are very, very excited about this. I know there's a lot of people that were very sad when Eevee Heroes went out, and they're looking to get some more Eevee Heroes because, I mean, this is a fun set. If you've ever opened up Evolving Skies, Eevee Heroes is like that, but without the Dodrio V or whatever. It's the Eevees.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what I would say to that, like, those of you who are longtime listeners will remember when we talked about the Eevee Heroes release and how, like, they were limiting box sales and, like, you had to go through a special way to get, like, none of these other sets had the same, like, limitation of, like, sales. And so if you are a collector of Japanese, especially, if you're a collector, you probably already know about this, let's be frank. But
Yeah.
if you're looking to get into collecting Japanese, right, and you're like, well, I don't really know, and you want to collect sealed in particular, if you want to open it, it's great, but sealed in particular, I think now that Eevee Hero set, I don't know what it's retailing for, like what's on eBay, but certainly the reprint will help bring the price down a little bit. And of all the Sword and Shield standard sets, like Jake said, this is the one to collect. This is the one to keep sealed and all that jazz. Like, it's a cool, like, it's a really good set. And it's also like a fan favorite because of all the evolutions.
I'm seeing on eBay real quick. I just typed it in my computer. I'm seeing Eevee Heroes booster boxes sealed ranging from like $175 to like $200.
I have an open box and a sealed box
Of
over there.
Eevee Heroes?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did not open up Eevee Heroes because Eevee Heroes came out when I was unemployed. But I probably won't ever get it.
I mean, I bought it. I was gonna open packs. I opened the box and then I never opened any packs. And I have one. I have one sealed still, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
Hey, I mean, you do what you gotta do,
Sure.
and people were wondering if, especially Eevee Heroes, was going to be reprinted. So I know a lot of people were just super excited about Eevee Heroes just coming in and doing some stuff. But Sean, that's all of like the news
It is.
here on the Metapod. It was kind of a slow week, as some would say, but I mean, that's kind of how it is. I mean, I feel like the next biggest announcement, I would say, is probably going to be at Worlds when
100%.
yeah, because I mean, they always announce something at Worlds, but they always announce like the next mechanic, right? Like
Yeah.
or at least around the time of Worlds, like the tag teams, I think those were
the V's.
a Worlds announcement. Yeah, the V
Was
Maxes
at
and
Worlds.
stuff. Yeah, that was at Worlds 2019.
2019.
Yeah,
It's been
2019.
forever.
And then I think what was like the time of Worlds 2020, because we didn't have a World Championships obviously in 2020.
They didn't do. They canceled it. Yeah, there was nothing.
Well, I mean, like, what
What
was
did
the
they announce?
announcement type thing? Because didn't they still, or was that just 2021? Because I think 2021, around the time of when Worlds would be, they did V Stars, right?
Maybe, yeah, but it's hard to. I don't really know. I can't remember. But I remember for 2019 Worlds, there was a whole promotional video and everything that they aired at on stream and at
Yeah,
the
it was
World
like
Championship.
It was like they were in like a Dynamax adventure cave, if you've ever played the video games, and it was Pikachu and Zekrom together, and then there was this big card and it said like 300 HP and everybody lost their mind.
Oh yeah,
and
that
then
was
it
the
was
year,
like VMAX, and it was
Yeah.
like all red and dark colors and stuff, and it was sinister. It was really cool.
So I mean, my gut says that we should probably expect to see something similar for this world, specifically for Scarlet and Violet for the new Pokemon game. So
Yes.
it'll be, I think, and also because VGC also happens at World, so I think that weekend is going to be huge.
I think it's
Absolutely
going to be a
huge.
big deal. I agree with that.
So,
But-
but
That's just food for thought. That's not really a news point. That's just something that I pulled out of a hat right there so we could briefly discuss. Let us know on Twitter and all that jazz what you think is going to be announced at the World Championships. I'd love to know. But what I'd also love to know, Sean, is what is the play for Worlds? And if you want to know what the play for Worlds is, you have to evaluate the meta, Sean. And what better group to do it than the Metapod?
That's right. So we have 3 different tournaments that we're going to be talking through today. And I think the standings are really weird and interesting, and I can't tell. The one thing I will say, this is the only place people are going to be able to test in a big tournament if they want. But
that, or like local, 1Ks and stuff.
yeah, but there's also this element of I know there's a lot of top tier players who will not play their deck in public leading up to Worlds. That's part of keeping the deck as secret as possible within their playtesting group. So all of the results here, I will say, they're interesting indicators, but there's always going to be a little bit of a grain of salt going into Worlds. And for those of you who are new, who've joined the Pokemon TCG post the last Worlds, that's just kind of how that works. Is there's you're not always going to see the best players and decks at all these big events.
And also, the thing that I love about the online meta is how sometimes just things appear, right? So, for instance, let's take a look at this Stone Journer deck that placed 5th, I believe, at the late night number 46, a big event in that tournament. And this is a deck that nobody until a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or whatever even thought about a deck like this. Sean, did you play Dragapult VMAX?
Back in the day?
Yeah, just Dragapult, just regular.
I did.
Regular, ordinary Dragapult VMAX. Or Victini VMAX.
Yes.
for that matter.
Yes, I did.
This is the same thing as those decks where you just have a 4-3 or a 3-3 line if you're this Stonejourner in this case. A 3-3 line of V and VMAX and no other Pokemon, so you're always starting your desired V, in this case Stonejourner V. And then instead of a lot of disruption cards and things like that, just take those out and put in a lot of healing. Sean, this list has a ton of healing because Stonejourner VMAX has 330 HP without any sort of modifiers. And since it has a grass weakness, there's not a lot of things hitting it for weakness, Sean, so you're going to have a hard time knocking this sucker out with one punch.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, like, in terms of they're choosing to go for the healing cards here, but they chose not to add any buffs, but instead opt for 20 less damage rather than increasing their HP.
So
with the full face guard.
20. Oh, that's the, I mean, that prevents 20 damage.
It does. So that's what I'm saying, though. It's interesting because I think when most people think about big Pokemon that you can't knock out, they usually think about,
what you mean now.
Yeah, they think about adding on, like, you know, if you're a basic, a Cape of Toughness, or like a big charm, right? And it's like, oh, just make it bigger. But it's interesting because this actually follows a bit more of the trend of Luke Metal, which is like, if I survive for more than 2 attacks, the cumulative damage negation is more than the HP boost.
And so here's the thing, Sean. So the full face guard, if you do not know, is a tool card that prevents 20 less damage on you from your opponent's attacks. It combos well with Stone Energy, Sean. This is a playset 4 of Stone Energy in this list. An energy that essentially does the same thing for fighting Pokemon this card is attached to. So the idea of this deck is to attach Stone Energies pretty much every single turn. You know, you can draw a lot of cards using Kabus in this list to draw essentially 8 cards every single time you use Kabu, because you very often, more often than not, don't have any other Pokemon on the bench. You know, you can draw more with Avery, Research, Schoolgirl, even finding those through Pokegears as well. Shintaro Ito did I think Shintaro Ito was the one to really promote Schoolgirl in this list. If you don't know what actually just in any sort of list like this, if you don't know what Schoolgirl does, draw 2 cards. If your opponent has exactly 2, 4, or 6 prize cards remaining, draw 2 more cards, which is very interesting, but it makes sense, Sean. And do you know why?
Is it because you're using the Stonejourner V?
It is. So especially in sort of the early game, or there are many other situations where maybe your big Stonejourner VMAX is healed and you need to have another Stonejourner V prepared or getting ready on the bench, especially with like Arceus, right? Since Arceus has the ability to get energies up there fast and be able to really punch you really quick. Palkia being able to do that same thing, hitting those big numbers fast. It's not terribly difficult to just one-shot a Stonejourner V with that doesn't have like the Stone Energies or the full face guards. So in response to that, they take 2 prizes. They have 4 prizes left. Okay, now we can like Schoolgirl, whatever. And there gives you an opportunity to be able to do something like that, because you use, again, you know, you're piling these Stone Energies onto the Stonejourner VMAX to make it really, really tanky, but you're also using Stone Gift to accelerate basic energies, Sean. Stone Gift, if you do not know, is Stonejourner VMAX's first attack. Attach a fighting energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon if you do heal 120 damage from that Pokemon. So you get hit with an Arceus V, right? It's got a choice band and a double turbo, right? That is what, 210 damage on your Stonejourner V. Okay, if you got a full face guard, that is 190. You've got 2 Stone Energies, let's say. That's 150. And so you then heal 120 out of that 150, only leaving you 30 damage, damage on your Pokemon, which can be healed through a Team Yell Towel, which can be healed through like a Lucky Ice Pop and a half or 2 Lucky Ice Pops in there. You have Pokemon Center Lady in this list to heal some damage, although some people are also playing Cook in their list for their supporter to heal. But also, what combos the best, in my opinion, with Stone Gift and Stonejourner VMAX is the Hyper Potions, Sean. Because Hyper Potion, you discard 2 energies, and when you're Stone Gifting, you're accelerating energies onto you. So you're basically powering up your ability to use those Hyper Potions. And so it's like, it's almost like a wall, but it's different in the wall decks that we have seen. This is more like a tank deck, you know, just put up a Pokemon and refuse to let it die. And it's crazy cool in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a really interesting deck. I'm like, I would need to see this deck in action because I will say the schoolgirl tech is interesting, but you have to ensure that the first Pokemon that dies is a Stonejourner V. In any other order, you never... Schoolgirl is just a draw 2. It's bad. It's a bad card.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you get a Stonejourner VMAX knocked out first, you're screwed.
Yeah, there is no mathematical way to get back to even numbers in this deck. So, like, that's interesting. I get whether you don't want to discard your hand, because to your point, you have a lot of item cards that are heavy on resources. That, like, you know, if you're discarding those items, then you're losing the game. You need to keep them. So... interesting that they're choosing not to play any other like Marnies or like just anything that shuffles, maybe.
I think it's interesting because a lot of times, and this is just what I have felt watching some people play, the reason that you don't have something like a Marnie is because you really depend on building up your hand, right? That's why you see a heavy amount of Kabu and Averies in this deck, you know, because Kabu almost always is going to draw you 8 cards instead of the 4. If you do not know, Kabu says shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 4 cards. If your active Pokemon is the only Pokemon in play on your side, then draw 8 cards instead. So that's why I'm saying 8 cards, because Stonejourner VMAX being the only Pokemon on the field, yada, yada, yada. And then so you're constantly building that hand. And so Schoolgirl gives you a little bit of both, right? I mean, even if you don't have, or if your opponent doesn't have 2, 4, or 6 prize cards remaining because maybe they knocked out a VMAX earlier, you're still drawing a couple cards, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the card says you can only play this card if your opponent has 2, 4, or 6 left. So you're still able to build your hand up. It's just sometimes is more than others. And so then with a Marnie, a lot of times a Marnie will put you in a situation where your hand's not as big as it was before. So I think that's the reason why you go more towards Schoolgirl, because you want to have a big hand with this deck. You want to have as many resources in your sight as possible, especially for finding those stone energies every single turn. So
I will say, I don't know if you've noticed, you probably did, but anybody who's looking at this deck afterwards, absolutely 0 Pokemon search cards in the deck. No quick balls, no ultra balls, no evolution incense, nothing. You get what you draw, and that is it.
I mean, you prioritize more the healing cards, because Stonejourner as well, with 220 HP,
it's big.
It's one of the bigger Vs out there, and so it's already more difficult. And plus, if you're going second as well, so then you can use a supporter like Kabu turn 1, right? Because you're always going to start a Stonejourner V all the time, always. You can even, because this deck plays 14 energies, you have a high chance in your first turn going second, finding an energy to attach to a Stonejourner V. And its attack, Sean, on there for 1 fighting energy is called Guard Press for 40 damage. But the 40 damage is whatever. That's more like setup stuff. But the most important part of Guard Press is the effect of it. It says, during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 20 less damage from attacks, effectively making this Pokemon 240 HP. And that's as if your Kabu or Avery or Research or whatever supporter you use to draw cards didn't find a full face guard, didn't find a stone energy. So, I mean, it's very, very hard at the beginning of the game at times to KO a Stonejourner V. Sometimes it does happen, and that's why you play Schoolgirl, right? But a lot more often than not, it'll be very, very difficult. So you don't really need Pokemon search. You more just need to find the VMAX. And people feel like with Kabu, Avery, research, like I said, boost shakes as well are in this list specifically. It's easy. Like more often than not, you're finding your VMAX.
So I would also say this deck probably goes second. They choose to go second, right?
Yeah, I would say that this deck wants to go second, especially with Melodious Echoes still being a thing, Mew still being played, and still very, very popular in the format. You probably want to go second.
Yeah, to that point, yeah, because you don't want to get dunked. To Jake's point, like, and you have to be able to play your supporters. Like we were saying, you don't have any like item cards or searching cards. So if you open a dead hand and you can't play a supporter,
well, I mean, if you're going first, you have no movement in your hand.
You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing in this deck. So.
Unless you just open a boost shake, and then therefore you just... Actually, I don't know if you can use boost shake the first turn of the game. I don't know if you can use it turn 1.
Let me see. Let's read the card. Search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it on. Oh, actually, okay, I was wrong. There are a couple of search cards. I've never seen...
Well, okay,
boost
but
shake.
I think people understand when you say there's no Quick Ball or Ultra Ball what they mean. Boost Shake is a completely different beast.
Actually, this is really interesting. Because I've never even thought to play this card. Your turn ends, but you can use it on the first turn. So you can put, if you open a Stonejourner, you can attach your energy, Boost Shake, turns into a Stonejourner VMAX, pass turn. That's actually pretty wild.
The Boost Shake, though, is one of those cards that some people are opting to play and some people are not opting to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because a lot of times after you get that first Stonejourner VMAX, right, because it's so bulky, it's so tanky, it's hard to KO, you don't have reason to use another Boost Shake, right? Yeah. You don't have any reason to Boost Shake. You have no Vs in play. So some people have been opting out of that, but like you're saying, it's very, very strong in certain aspects, especially when you go first and open it. But with 2 cards with only 2 of those cards, it would be very, very unlikely. I don't think the percentage is high to open it in your hand, but it does happen. It does happen, Sean. But a very, very cool list, in my opinion.
Yeah. In terms of a late night, before we get into other cool decks, I just want to talk about the meta game real quick, just to sort of give folks an overview of what one of the big tournaments looked like. I think this was was this the biggest tournament?
Yeah, this was the bigger. Yeah, this is the biggest of the 3, and there was a late night event after this, but this one had like 300 some players compared to the 180 or something of the recent one. So I decided to pull up the 300 plus one because it's the same format.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing here, obviously, the top 3 decks I think are what most people would expect, right? Arceus, Inteleon, Palkia, Mew.
Well, Mew, that's not top 3.
In terms of
you're looking.
metagame.
I'm sorry. Metagame. Yes.
Metagame. Yeah.
I was looking at the results. I was like, "What top 3 are you looking at?" Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Yes, that is not a surprising.
No.
Top 3.
But what's wild here is that if you look at the win percentage, now obviously this is also dictated by who is piloting every deck, and it's But on aggregate, Arceus, Inteleon, Palkia, and Inteleon both pretty high win percentage, over 50%. But Mew. 39%, Jake.
I mean, I think this is how it's been going, the last couple weeks, the last couple months. Well, maybe not last couple months, maybe the last month, the last couple events that we had, is Mew is just kind of fallen off. Not in terms of popularity, really. It's still one of the most present decks in the room at events because people are comfortable with it. People have been playing it a while. People know how to play it. But the way that the format evolves and the way that we've been building decks, we've built decks with this concept of we have to beat Mew, right? It's like ADP all over again, where, yeah, the deck might not be the best deck in the room, but if you're not beating Mew VMAX, right? If you're not beating this specific deck, you will not do well in the tournament more than likely, unless you just dodge them all, which is very hard to do.
Then Jake, another new entrant into the based on the Pokemon Go set. We talked about this.
We haven't really talked about this deck at all, have we?
No, we talked about the cards.
We mentioned it. Yeah.
So do you want to take a look at the top performing of the Lunatone Soul Rock deck?
Let's
Chris?
talk about it now. This deck has blown up in popularity since its beginning release of the Pokemon Go set. I even know that there was an online tournament that was literally titled "Please Stop Playing the Lunatone Soul Rock Deck," and it turned out to be the most popular deck of that specific event. But anyways, we're going to be looking at this list of Lunatone and Soul Rock, and there's two key components in here. If you did not guess from the title of the deck that I gave it, it's Lunatone and it's Soul Rock. Those are the two bad boy, and where I guess Lunatone and Soul Rock don't really have genders. Those are the two bad Pokemon, the faces of this deck. And so looking at Lunatone real quick, this will give you an understanding. 90 HP Psychic basic Pokemon, has 2 attacks. The first one, Cycle Draw, for 1 Psychic Energy. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. Can be pretty... It could be pretty all right. I mean, if you're in a rut, right, you know, this deck is completely full of 1-prize Pokemon.
That's
so
true.
especially against the bigger Pokemon, if you feel like it would be better to do more setup, you can use Cycle Draw instead of the second attack. The second attack on this Lunatone is 3 colorless energies. That's the cost. It's called Moon Kinesis 30+. This attack does 30 more damage for each psychic energy attached to this Pokemon. So you get 3 psychic energies on this Lunatone when you attack. That's 120 damage.
That's
Pretty interesting. But Sean, how do you power up Lunatone?
Well, the other half of the equation being Soul Rock. Soul Rock is another 1-prize, 90 HP basic. The ability on this is the only thing that matters. The ability is Sun Energy. Once during your turn, you may attach a Psychic Energy card from your discard pile to one of your Lunatone. So it's very specific. You can't pair this with anything other than Lunatone, basically. But, I mean, that's what it was designed for. And, yeah, and it doesn't have... You can only use one of these ability at a time. So if you have 4 Soul Rock on the bench and a Lunatone, on your turn, you could effectively power up 4 Psychic Energy from the discard just with abilities. You can attach 1 from hand. That's 5 energy in 1 turn. And then there might be other ways to attach as well. Are there any in this deck? No.
Croft Scoop Up Net.
Oh, yes. And then Scoop Up Net. So that's, I'll just immediately go into this. Scoop Up Net will allow you to reuse the ability of a Soul Rock whose ability you've already used. So if you were really insane, like if you somehow manage this, all 4 Scoop Up Nets in 1 turn, you need to win the game right now, Jake. You could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Scoop Up 5,
I think it's
Scoop
9.
Up 6, Scoop Up 7, Scoop Up 8. It's just 8. You can just 8 from the discard.
Oh, from the discard. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
8 from the discard, attach 1 to hand. What does this do?
Pokestop, that's a
No.
new stadium. If you want to help get energies in the discard, you get those 9 energies in the discard. You can take on this turbo build of Lunatone. We'll call it Lunatone, sure. Anyways, this Pokestop is a new stadium from the Pokemon Go set, Sean. If you need a refresher on what it is, once during each player's turn, that player may discard 3 cards from the top of their deck. If a player discarded any item cards in this way, they may put those item cards in their hand. And it works well with this deck because, well, you can put your energies in the discard pile, which is something that you very, very much need. If a Pokemon goes in there, okay, you can grab Rescue Carrier for a majority of them, at least. Why? Because your Lunatones and Soul Rocks are 90 HP each. And so with that churning through your deck, you could find VIP passes, you can find Fog Crystals, Scoop Up Net, Quick Balls, Carriers, Escape Rope, Choice Belts, and another item to help you go through your deck faster, Trekking Shoes.
Indeed.
Sean, because what's a turbo build without Trekking Shoes? You can just churn through that deck, find those energies, get them in the discard pile as fast as possible, because Trekking Shoes is an item card that says, look at the top card of your deck, you may put it in your hand, but if you don't, discard that card and draw a card. Almost like Acrobike, except more interesting, in my opinion, than Acrobike. And then also to get those energies in the discard pile, Sean, we got one more in there, and that's The ever popular, certainly the most broken Radiant Pokemon, Radiant Greninja. If you don't know what this Pokemon is yet, because maybe you're a little bit out of the loop, I don't blame you. I haven't been playing a lot lately because I've just been so busy with my job. It has the ability concealed cards on this basic 130 HP water Pokemon. Concealed card says you may discard an energy card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. So lots of opportunities, Sean, to get energies in the discard pile, to constantly use Solrock Sun energies, to get those energies on those Lunatones and be able to string attackers, be able to pump up the damage. You know, Sean, we talked about 9 energies on the field potentially in one single turn, but you were hinting at this earlier with the Choice Belt. Choice Belt, especially if you're fighting a V or VMAX or V-Star Pokemon even, I gotta say V-Star as well, because that's also a V. Any Pokemon V, Choice Belt does 30 more damage to your opponent's active V Pokemon. And so effectively, that is a 10th energy on this Solrock, meaning that it can do 330 damage max, Sean, if you pump up all those energies on that sucker.
That's a lot of damage. And then the other thing you have in the deck, just in case you were wondering, hey, a lot of 90 HP Pokemon. That would be easy to clean the board, right? You do have Manaphy. The Manaphy is also in the deck to prevent somebody sneakily trying to, wipe out all your little things.
Cough, cough, Radiant Greninja with its Moonlight Shuriken, discarding 2 energies from the Pokemon and doing 90 damage to 2 of your Pokemon on the field.
Yeah, it can get nasty.
It's a fun deck. A lot of people have been having fun with it. If we were going to do a budget deck episode, the one that was lost forever.
I mean, we might do one still.
We might still do one. But anyways, if we do, this is arguably the cheapest deck that you can build right now in the Pokemon format, and one that you can have fun with, right? This deck is a ton of fun to watch. This deck is a ton of fun to play as well. You know, you're just constantly stringing attackers. You're constantly interacting with your discard pile, with your deck, with these Pokemon with abilities that combo well with each other. And it's just a lot of fun, to play.
Yeah, if you played any Mad Party at all back in the day as well, obviously you still can play Mad Party, but if you want Mad Party, same but different, it's like a similar concept, right? It has some differences, but
I would say it's almost more similar to something like Blounce GX.
Okay, yeah, I can see that a little bit.
You, even though they don't specifically go, well, you have your baby Naganadels on the bench that accelerate energy from the discard pile, and although they don't go onto the Blacephalon, you do power up as many energies, and your attack damage is based on how many energies you grab from the Pokemon on the field and put in the Lost Zone. So it's almost like it's kind of the same, except this deck can consistently do more damage and string it out because it's just putting it in the discard pile to just go right back, really.
Yeah.
Because your Solrock probably dies every single turn. It only has 90 HP.
Yeah, I mean, the one deck there's one tech that I think ruins this, and nobody's going to play it because this deck is not popular enough. But if Palkia wanted to play, I think the name of the card is what's the penguin Pokemon?
Oh, Ice Cube. Yeah.
Not Ice Cube.
Well, there are a couple counters to this.
Empoleon V. That's the one.
I've seen 1 or 2 people like on a stream play that card, and I have to think that that's a little bit
it's a bit much.
of it.
It's a bit much, but I wanna look it up because I'm saying if we don't usually Empoleon. How do I
Empoleon V? I don't know. Just look up Empole.
Okay. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, because this card has almost always been garbage.
Ever since we've talked about it in Battle Styles.
Yeah. But because this deck relies so heavily on the abilities of non-rule box Pokemon, Empoleon V does have the ability. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's basic Pokemon in play have no abilities, except for Pokemon with a rule box, which that was the weirdest thing when this card came out. It's like, wait. So you're targeting basic
one prize Pokemon.
One prizers? Like, why? But, here we are.
There's also one more counter that you can do if you just hate the Soul Rock Lunatone deck in there. It's a little ice cube. Sean, I DM'd it. Well, I DM'd it to you in our Discord chat.
Okay,
so
let
you
me
can get the direct link.
Let me snag
This
that.
little sucker right here, 120 HP water Pokemon. You can put this in your like Palkia decks or whatever. It's got this second attack called Block Face for 70 damage, but don't really worry about the damage because its effect is what you're going to want to worry about. During your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. Solrock and Lunatone is fully comprised of basic Pokemon. This pretty close to a GG's.
GG, scoop it up. You're like,
yeah, as long as you get the attack off with this Ice Cube, which is not impossible with things like Raihan, Melanie, right, in this format. You could just go Raihan double turbo on this sucker, right? You don't really care if you minimize your damage, right, with the double turbo energy doing -20, because all you're really trying to do is just prevent your opponent from attacking, really, or doing damage or taking prizes. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I'm not going to say it's like great.
No,
I wouldn't put an Ice Cube in your deck for Worlds.
No, I mean, it is interesting though, right? Like, you think about the number, like the metagame again. Like, it is the fourth
most played deck. Yeah, it's right up there with Mew in this tournament, at least.
I will say though, it's the fourth most played, but the best record was 9-5, and I think that speaks a lot to the deck. It is single prize, so you have more time, but like getting to those big numbers and, you know, taking out all, because like single prize decks, usually you win by doing almost one-hit knockouts on some of these 2 prize and 3 prize Pokemon. Because if you're taking 2 turns every time to knock something out, and they get the first knockout, well, the actual prized race is actually in their favor, because then it's going to take you 2 turns for each one, and it's like, wait a minute, this mathematically doesn't add up anymore.
Hold on, wait, this doesn't make sense.
Right. So, but Jake, is there any other deck, before we call it for the afternoon, any other deck that you want to highlight as like a new deck on the scene in the metagame that people should keep an eye on?
If we're going to just limit it to one more deck, I think I got to go with the Orbeetle VMAX deck. So Orbeetle VMAX, it's not in this tournament. You've put me on the spot, Sean, because we're cutting it close.
Where is that? Where? I don't see it in any of the standings.
It's not really in any of these tournaments. I'm grabbing the list for you. But Orbeetle VMAX, Sean, a card that has really just fallen off the scene, in my opinion. I mean, it was in what, Vivid Voltage or something like that, and we absolutely we're just so excited about it, but unfortunately could not hold on to it, and I'm sending it to you right now in our Discord to be able to show, and I'm trying to stall time
while you find it
to show you. Yeah, and I did find it. This is LDF's version that he posted a picture of not too long ago, but Orbeetle VMAX in here. You know, you're using the Snorlax to kind of start the game and to draw a bunch of cards. It's got my favorite lovely, well, maybe not all-time favorite, but just a lovely gal, Gardenia, in this list, right?
Ooh.
Because you have to have multiple energies, grass energies, or at least one grass energy. You need multiple energies in general to do Orbeetle things. But in this deck, so if you do not know Orbeetle VMAX because you're sorry, because you're new to the game, or maybe
I raise his hand. I can't remember exactly what it does.
So Orbeetle has 2 things that it does. One, it likes to put a lot of damage counters everywhere. So with Orbeetle VMAX, it has an ability that if it's in the active, you put 1 damage counter on every single Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field. And so your idea of this deck is to get a bunch of Orbeetle VMAX out, like a lot of times 3, maybe even 4 Orbeetle VMAX out, and you just switch between them. You know, you have air balloons, you have escape ropes, you have bosses, you have bird keepers, just trying to switch and place damage counters as much as possible. And the Orbeetle VMAX's attack for 1 grass and 1 colorless, you do more damage based on the amount of energies that your opponent's Pokemon has. And so with Orbeetle VMAX, that is 50 plus, right? So if you have a Arceus V-Star, right? Arceus V-Star oftentimes has 3 energy attached to it. Therefore, with Gmax Wave, you're doing 200 damage onto that Pokemon. And so, especially with the Eevee beams, right? Just putting damage counters everywhere, every which way. You can oftentimes catch an opponent by hitting them, knocking them out with the Gmax Wave because you've stacked so many damage counters, or you get them later because they try to stall out prizes, right? But they can't stall out your Eevee beam unless they have like Paths of the Peak or something like that. But
unless they have
and
a very
then you can
popular
take
card.
yeah. So then you can take multiple prizes in a single turn and stuff like that. And there are other cards in this deck that help do things like Milk Tank. By the way, I know I'm pronouncing Milk Tank wrong. I know somebody called us out in I think it was the YouTube comments
I
or
saw
it was
that.
on Twitter. Somebody called me out in the comments, and I know very well that I'm pronouncing it wrong, but that's just how I've done it. I also say Rattata? Rattata? No, I say Rattata. Instead of Rattata.
Oh my lord. Okay.
I don't know. That's just what I've been calling it ever since I was a kid. I was like Rattata, but I didn't find out until I was like 20 years old that it was Rattata. Anyways, I watched the anime. There's also a Farfetch'd in this list. A little cheeky card, I will say. The Farfetch'd has Leak Lash Attack. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon with a 20 plus on it. So, you know, you're stacking up all those damage counters. Maybe, you know, you stacked up a little bit of damage counters with Eevee Beam. You did an attack, but it didn't really knock it out. And your opponent switches Pokemon. The Pokemon that they switched into, though, does already have a good number of damage counters on it because you've Eevee Beamed 800 times that game. A Farfetch'd Leak Lash could finish off that Pokemon.
Yeah.
With its just finishing attack, and then therefore you have a 1 prizer that you're trading, which is good as well, and it just it's a cheeky little thing, but it works out well.
I mean, think about it, right? All you need is for them to be, 10 under half health, right? Because really what Farfetch'd is saying is double the damage to what they have on them, add 20, and add 20. So like if they're at 100, you're going to put them at 220 damage afterwards, which is enough to knock out a lot of Vs. If they're at 130, that's literally all you need is 130 to 260 to 280, and that knocks out all V-Stars. So that's a good way to think about it. It's like, hey, it's a 1 prizer, like you said, that can take a big knockout on a 2 or a 3 prize body. You have Rowlet, your favorite, the Rowlet in here.
Because you're playing Bird Keeper in this list.
You got 4 of those. So yeah, you've got 1 Rowlet in here that can come in and do 60 damage out of nowhere for no energy to any of your opponent's Pokemon, which is huge. If somebody wants to run and hide on the bench, no.
You just switch into that little sucker, and then all of a sudden he's sniping things away. And especially with Orbeetle or Farfetch'd or even Yveltal, we've talked about Cry Destruction, 2 colorless energies. The discard 3 special energies from your opponent's side of the field. I think it's 3, right? Is it 2 or 3?
I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 3.
Either way, it's very, very good for your opponent that's only playing special energies, really. Cough, cough, Mew VMAX. But anyways, if you want to know how to power up these Pokemon, because we talked about Farfetch'd, you know, requiring 2 colorless energies. We've talked about Yveltal, 2 colorless energies. Orbeetle is a grass and colorless, still 2 energies. Gardenia's Vigor, I mentioned this card earlier. It says draw 2 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. So it's just Pokemon. It's not saying that you have to attach it to Vs like Melanie. It's not saying that you just have to attach it to a specific type of Pokemon, grass Pokemon, fire Pokemon, water Pokemon, whatever. This is saying any Pokemon on the bench. So, especially because you have a lot of switching cards in this deck, it's very easy to Gardenia to a Pokemon like Farfetch'd and then switch into it for a big ol' whooping.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say the benefit of this, now Stonejourner doesn't really make up a lot of the meta, But
No, neither does this Orbeetle deck.
No.
Well, Soul Rock Lunatone kind of does. Yeah. You might be able to like wipe the floor of Soul Rock Lunatone.
Oh, yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because Manaphy does not stop Eerie Beam.
That's right. Yeah, you just place a bunch of little damage counters, and then you're like, okay, I'm ready to end the game.
They only have 4 scoop up nets.
That's right. They can't really, and to waste your scoop up nets on that when there's a big body like Orbeetle VMAX you want to take out it feels bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, you know, I think this is a fun deck. I hope more people play this one because it's hard to say if this deck is like how well it's positioned in the meta.
Not super great. I mean, you can get lucky.
Yeah. I think that's the key, right? Like,
if you want to build like a VMAX deck that you can have a lot of fun with, right, and you could potentially do it. Like, I think this could be a good locals deck.
If you like math. If you like math, yeah, this is a great deck for you too.
For fun locals deck. And this is also a really, really cheap deck to be able to build. I mean, if you look up what Orbeetle VMAX is on TCG Player,
$2 or $3.
It is listings as low as 85 cents per VMAX.
Yeah.
That is really cheap. I mean, market price is $1.39, but that's still super cheap, right? And so...
Is this another example where the most expensive card in the deck is the Capture Energy?
Yeah, it might be the Capture Energy because we've talked about this many times and we talked about this a lot. The Capture Energy though is less. It is $1.15.
Ooh, it came
so
down.
Very close.
Okay.
But it's almost there. But either way, I mean, it's fun. It's also really, really fun to play on PTCGO because if you use Orbeetle VMAX's ability when it puts the damage counters on, it is quite possibly the most satisfying sensation in the world, especially on PTCGO. And I'm talking PTCGO specifically.
Not live.
We're still not playing live, man. It's still not out to everybody. They're doing the team challenge right now, which I think is, Sean and I have talked about this. They're not going to release live to everyone while the team challenge is going on.
Yeah.
So it's probably, if I had to take a guess, it's not going to be till after Worlds.
I mean,
we get live.
Man, I can't even believe that the team challenge is actually even happening. I can't remember the last time they mentioned it.
Nobody's talked about it at the Pokemon Company except to the people that qualify. I mean, I think
hey, congrats to you qualify.
Yeah, the first round, I believe, of the everybody makes it through. Yeah, the people of the store moving into the tournament. They just did the first round of that. I know like Mello's team went 5-0 on who they were playing. They absolutely whomped them. So big shout outs to all you, and shout outs to all you as well that I don't know. I missed the memo, Sean. Apparently this was the weekend to get married or like get engaged or something because Joe from Cerebi got married. Pokemon guy, big Pokemon guy. Andrew Mahone, Natalie got married. Big Pokemon people. Andrew, one of the most, I would say probably the biggest, at least Twitch streamers, probably one of the biggest YouTubers, if not for the competitive side of the Pokemon trading card game. And then Jay Lesage got married as well. I know he's banned. You know, I saw his fiance said, if he takes my last name, will he be unbanned? And like, will he not be on the ban list because like he would have a different name and his name wouldn't be on the ban list technically. So I thought that was hilarious. So congratulations to everybody that spent time with their loved ones or had amazing things. And congratulations to everyone who made it to the end of this podcast because we're done with episode 105.
And congratulations to you, Jake, on hitting 1,000 subs on your YouTube channel about anime.
Yeah, it's not necessarily Pokemon, but I did hit 1,000. I'm at like 1,050 now, and I'm like, where are you people? It's like, have you seen that SpongeBob meme where Patrick like goes home and it's all the eyes under the rock, and he's like, who people? That's exactly how I feel right now with YouTube. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just like having fun. Just like on this podcast, we have fun and revolve around the evolving meta. Have a great rest of the day. Hope to see you again soon.